Welcome back to another episode on the J.A.T side. I'm your host, Jalen Austin Taylor, and today is September 5th, 2024, and it is a beautiful Thursday evening. Um, coming to you today from my home, and what we're going to be talking about today is a very sensitive subject. Talking about the recent events that took place at Apalachee High School yesterday. Um, very, very unfortunate, I think, event, and caused people their lives, and it caused many to be traumatized for the rest of their lives. So this episode is going to be. I don't have a time limit on this episode, but I want to make sure that I'm not just rambling, and I want to make sure that I'm being precise in my delivery of everything that I say. This is going to be a very, like I said, sensitive, emotional, you know, uh, because when you talk about people losing their lives, it's always going to get emotional, especially when it comes to something such as a school shooting, which happened in the state of Georgia. Also, Apalachee High School is in Winder, Georgia. Before we get into today's episode, though, I do have a couple of quick announcements. I don't want to spend too much time on them, though. I set a goal in August to hit 2,000 plays on the J.A.T side. We are almost there. Currently at 1,890 plays as I'm speaking. So I want to thank you guys for that. Number two, I'm going to have some special guests coming on this month. I'm not doing a series for the month of September like I did last year, but I will have some special guests coming on. And third, final announcement of the day. I have been experiencing recently, like the last 2 or 3 episodes, some issues with my soundboard. So I'm going to try to speak a little bit louder and a little bit more clearer in this episode, because last time it was a little bit of static in the beginning. This time I was doing some troubleshooting before I recorded this take of the episode, and I was hearing a little bit of screeching in the background. So hopefully with me talking a little bit louder, hopefully that minimizes the screeching, and hopefully, the episode's quality doesn't get diminished by that. And I just pray that the issue would not, you know, take over, the audio quality. So I just want to apologize if you do experience any screeching in your audio. I highly, highly apologize. I've had my soundboard for almost 2 years now, about 18 months. So it's been, I've had it for a while. I've used it a lot, but it might just be time for me to get some new equipment, which I may have to invest into. Which is why I need your guys' help, with sharing the J.A.T side, getting new listeners. Because when I get more listeners, I can enable my monthly subscriptions still. I think I need like 50 more listeners in the next 60 days to enable monthly subscriptions. Monthly subscriptions will start off at 99 cents. So I just really need you guys' help in sharing the J.A.T side with anybody that you may know. Just please help and share it. If you really enjoy the J.A.T side, please consider sharing it. It takes nothing but a couple of seconds and a couple of clicks, literally. So I really appreciate those of you who will take a little bit of time and do that for me. But now it's time to get into the main topic of today's episode: the tragic Apalachee High School shooting in Winder yesterday, Wednesday, September 4th. So if you did not hear about the Apalachee High School shooting and you're listening to this episode, I highly encourage you, after this episode, even though I'm going to give you a lot of facts about it, I highly encourage you to go do your own research on the event so that you can inform yourself on what happened for yourself, not just listening to a 16-year-old kid talk. If you don't know any details about it, the shooter was 14-year-old Colt Gray. I believe from what we know, he was a student at Apalachee High School, a freshman. From what I know, he played football and was on the football team. In this tragic school shooting, 4 were killed, 2 students included, 2 teachers, and one of those teachers happened to be a football coach, not the head coach, but assistant. And then 30 were injured on top of the 4 that lost their lives yesterday in that tragic shooting. From what we know, it happened around 9:30 a.m. I've read multiple articles about the school shooting yesterday. I've read multiple, listened to stuff, listened, read. I've informed myself about the event. I've heard what other people have, what they know about the event, because obviously, a school shooting happens, you're going to be talking about it the next day, especially when it's in your own state and it's actually less than 30 minutes away from where you go to school at. So, of course, it was a hot topic of conversation today throughout the whole entire school. And I'm sure it was a hot topic of conversation around schools in the state of Georgia. Not just because people want to know what's going on, but simply because of safety concerns and safety reasons. Now, why Colt Gray did what he did yesterday still is yet to be known. He is set to appear in court tomorrow, and it has been released by the GBI, Georgia Bureau of Investigation, that Colt Gray will be tried as an adult. Although he is only 14 years old, and in some states he would, depending on the crime, be considered a juvenile, he will be tried as an adult because he is going to be charged with murder. And I read something earlier that said he's going to be charged with 4 counts of murder. So that's no crime that you can get away from, pretty much with anything. You killed 4 people. He is going to be charged with 4 counts of murder. Now, Colt Gray, as I mentioned earlier, was on the football team. And one of the 4 people that he killed was a football coach and a math teacher at Apalachee High School. Now, it's really unfortunate that this man, who was only 39 years old, by the way, lost his life, possibly, not making any assumptions, possibly be because he didn't like this coach. Excuse me. Possibly because he didn't like this coach. Now, from what I know, I cannot confirm anything because I don't have any inside sources. All I have is secondary and possibly even third source information, right? So I'm not saying anything that I say is a fact. I am saying what I have heard and what I know. From what I know, Colt Gray left his classroom with whatever type of gun that he used and went in the gym and shot this coach intentionally. Now, the 2 students who were killed, I don't know if it was intentional that Colt Gray, who is the person who they have arrested right now, I don't know if Colt Gray intentionally killed those kids. I don't know if Colt Gray intentionally killed the coach, but I heard that Colt Gray did kill the coach. And it's really sad. A 39-year-old man with a wife, with kids who will never be able to, and young kids, by the way, as well. Man's only 39. Kids who will never be able to really have that relationship with their father. And then who knows if the 53-year-old math teacher who also got tragically killed in the school shooting, she could have had grandkids. Her grandkids, if she had any, may have not got the may or won't get the opportunity if she does have grandkids to have a relationship with her. If she had kids, they won't be able to talk to their mom again. You only get one mom. You only get one dad. And the fact that these people who were just trying to do their job, just trying to come in for for another day of work in a profession that really is undervalued itself. Teaching is one of the most undervalued professions by pay in the whole country. And they had no idea that when they woke up yesterday that that would be their last day on this earth. They had no clue. Nothing could have warned them. Nothing could have prepared them. Yesterday morning when they woke up on Wednesday, September 4th, that that would be their last day on this earth. Because a student would take their life from them. And two students. So Colt Gray allegedly intentionally killed this football coach and possibly allegedly killed the 53-year-old math teacher at Apalachee High School. And I read this one article this morning about this girl who sat directly next to the alleged shooter, Colt Gray, yesterday in class. And she said that Colt Gray left the class. And Colt Gray, he when he left the class, when he came back, some kid went to the door. One of her classmates went to the door. When he or she, I'm not sure what the gender of this classmate was. When he or she went to the door, Colt Gray, they saw Colt Gray with a gun in his hand. So the student backed away from the door when they saw that. Because if that student had just opened the door, who knows how many more people would have been killed. Colt Gray wanted to be, well, I'm not going to say he wanted to because I don't know what the kid was thinking. The student who spoke out to the news, who was sitting next to Colt Gray that morning, yesterday morning, she said that she believed that Colt Gray wanted to start the shooting in their classroom. Now, it is also alleged that Apalachee High School received a phone call at around 10 a.m., which basically said, I'm going to sum it up, that Apalachee High School would be the first of 5 schools to be shot up yesterday, September 4th. And I also read on the article yesterday that when the Apalachee High School was notified about the call, they went to Colt Gray's classroom that he was in. When they went in there to look for him, he was not there. And like I said, this whole situation is tragic, very sad. And I don't know what's more sad, the fact that he intentionally killed the football coach or possibly intentionally killed those students as well. Because whether he intentionally or disintentionally killed those kids didn't deserve to die yesterday. Nobody who died yesterday or got injured deserved to get injured or die. Now, even if you got injured, if you got shot yesterday, you have to live with that for the rest of your life, traumatized. Even if you're able to heal 100% from something like that, some people could have life altering injuries. If you get, some people may never be able to live their same life again. Even if they did not die, if they got shot, it depends on where the bullet hit them at. Because depending on where a bullet hits you at, it can affect your body in many ways. So who knows the injuries that were caused? Not just the deaths. Who knows the injuries that were caused by Colt Gray? And the saddest part about this situation, in my opinion, is that the FBI had an investigation open against Colt Gray and his father about 16 months ago in May 2023, prior to this event. Colt Gray made one line threats that he was going to shoot up Apalachee High School in May of 2023 when he was 13 years old. So the kid wasn't even in high school. He was on his way to high school. Or maybe on his way to 8th grade, actually, because August 2023 would have been his 8th grade year. Now, I don't know if Colt Gray, honestly, I don't know if Colt Gray was a 9th or 10th grader, but if he was only in 8th grade as a 13-year-old, then he would have been going into his 8th grade year in a couple of months when the statements or the threats were made online. Now, if he was a freshman, which would have honestly made more sense that he would shoot up Appalachia High School, then Colt Gray would have been going into his sophomore year in a couple of months. Going into his freshman year in a couple of months. Regardless of the fact, whether Colt Gray was a 9th or a 10th grader, he was a student at Apalachee High School. And FBI, they got notified of these threats. They interviewed Colt Gray and his father about his threats. Number one, Colt Gray told the FBI when they interviewed him that he never made the threats, that they weren't true, and that he never posted them. That's what Colt Gray said. His father, when interviewed, said that there were guns in the house for hunting purposes, and that the guns were locked away and kept in a safe, supervised area. Now, how true? We know, I believe, if Colt Gray just shot up Apalachee High School yesterday, I have no problem with believing that he would make threats over a year prior to him doing it. And I also have no problem believing that his dad did not have the hunting gun supervised. Because we just got news today that the gun was an AR-15 rifle. So there's no way that Colt Gray just got his hand on an AR-15 rifle, brought it to school in a musical instrument case, and was able to do what he did without easy access. Because there's no way that he got his hands on an AR-15 rifle without him just being able to access it. An assault rifle. One of the deadliest assault rifles there is, the AR-15. So, and then, because of what they were told, the FBI said that there was no probable cause for Colt Gray's arrest at the time. Now, even if there was no probable cause for arrest, I feel like the FBI could have took more measures in that situation, because a school shooting threat is nothing to play with. Because you're not only talking about kids' lives being at risk, you're talking about police officers' lives being at risk. You're talking about teachers, educators' lives being at risk. So even if the FBI didn't have probable cause to arrest Colt Gray at the time, they could have put him in a mental program to, help him. Even if they believed that he never made the threats, they could have done something to supervise Colt Gray, whether it was monitoring him at school, whether it was monitoring his social media, whether it was monitoring him in other ways. But they could have done something. I feel like they could have done something to prevent what happened yesterday. I'm not blaming anybody. I'm not blaming the FBI. I'm not blaming the school. I'm not blaming his father. But he took people's lives away. He caused people to lose their loved ones. He caused people's loved ones to be injured, and he caused students to be traumatized. That's what he did. I'm not blaming anybody. I'm not blaming the government. I'm not blaming the school. I'm not blaming his father, who allegedly had the guns in a safe place. Going forward, that was the impact. All what I just said, that was the impact of Colt Gray doing what he did yesterday. Now we got to get into the going forward part. Going forward, what needs to be done about school shootings in the whole country? What needs to be done? Because it's outrageous. If nobody does anything about this, it's going to continue to happen. Innocent people will continue to lose their lives. Teachers, students, educators, possibly first responders. And even there was a firefighter who died on his way to Apalachee High School in a car accident. Some people may not know that. There was a firefighter who died on his way to Apalachee High School yesterday in a car accident. But going forward, what does the government and what do schools need to be put what needs to be put in place to prevent school shooting? Well, number one, I'm going to start with students. I'm going to start with the schools. I'm speaking directly to all of my students right now. All of my fellow students. High schoolers, middle schoolers, and if you're an elementary schooler listening to this, even elementary school. I don't know why like I said, I don't know why Colt Gray did what he did. But I do know that a large percentage of school shooters have some type of bullying trauma that they went through that caused them to outrage like they did in their school shooting incident. I'm not saying that Colt Gray was bullied. I'm not saying that Colt Gray was teased on. I'm not making any assumptions about the situation because I don't know anything for certain. But what I do know is we can control as students how we treat other students. Even if you don't like somebody, that does not give you the right to talk any type of way to them or act any type of way towards them. And this includes myself. Even if we don't like somebody, you should still treat them with respect. You should still give them respect. Because if you want respect, you should give respect. Some people say, oh, I don't care about respect. But let's be honest. Who wants to be disrespected? Who likes being disrespected? I don't think anybody does. I don't think anybody in the history of the world likes being disrespected. So at the bare minimum, if you don't like somebody, you don't have to be their best friend. You don't even have to be their friend. But give them respect. Be nice. It doesn't cost you anything to be nice. It doesn't cost you anything to give somebody respect. But that's just a message to my fellow students. Now, when it comes to the government, I feel like the FBI could have done more in this certain case. Just this certain case. I'm not talking about the other school shooting incidents. I'm talking about this case. The FBI, I feel like, when you receive a school shooting threat, I don't care if they deny the rumors or not. If you're tracking comments back to somebody who made a school shooting threat, there needs to be significant measures took to monitor this individual. Because clearly, if you're able to trace the comment back to somebody who makes some type of comment at that type of stature, there needs to be something done. You can't just say, "Oh, well, he denied the rumors of him making he denied making the comment, so we're just not going to look into it any further." No, absolutely not. That's not acceptable on any level. The FBI needs to do more when they receive a school shooting threat because it's not something to play with. It's happening too often. It's causing too many people traumatic experiences in death. So if the FBI doesn't do more about it, it's going to be raps because they're going to continue to be school shootings. And it's going to get worse if it's not contained and controlled now, not later, now. Something needs to be done now because 4 families lost a loved one yesterday that they're never going to be able to see again. I'm begging. I'm begging the government to do something. Please. School shootings should never happen. Especially not in what is supposed to be a great country like the United States. So I'm begging the government, please take measures. Please take precaution when it comes to school shooting threats so that we can prevent school shootings. And finally, the final portion of this episode, which has been very intense, very deep. I would like, for the first time, now, if you're not a religious person, if you don't believe in God, you know what? You can go ahead and click off of the episode right now. And I hope you enjoyed this episode. All right. But for those of you who are still listening, if you made it this far, if you made it to the 26.5-minute mark in this episode, I just want to ask you, please bow your heads and close your eyes as I will lead us in a prayer for all people who were affected by this event yesterday at Apalachee High School, and just praying about school shootings being prevented in general. So, as I asked, if you would please join me in this prayer for the victims of yesterday's school shooting. God, I come to you today with a very, very broken heart. 4 families lost their lives yesterday, lost loved ones yesterday. They lost a piece of themselves yesterday. God, I'm not coming to you angry. I'm not coming to you demanding anything. God, I'm coming to you humbly asking that you would intervene on the lives of all people who were affected by this event yesterday at Apalachee High School. God, I just pray that you would touch every person who had to witness, whether they witnessed somebody get shot, whether they witnessed somebody die, or whether they were one of the victims themselves. God, for the people who died yesterday, God, I pray that you would just cover their families, cover their friends, and cover everybody who cared and loved those people, God. I just pray that you would give them that everlasting love and that unattainable by any other way peace that you give, God. God, the things that money can't buy in a situation like this, give them closure. Give them peace of mind. Allow them to grieve, but to not be depressed. Allow them to be able to see and be able to feel that there will be hope in the future in terms of these events happening. God, I just pray for any of those students at Apalachee High School who were traumatized because of what happened yesterday, God. I ask that you would help them if any way possible, God. If they need any type of help, if they need any type of counseling, God, I ask that they will receive whatever you know that they need, God, because you are the only one who knows what exactly all of those kids need. God, I pray for the teaching staff and board members at Apalachee High School, God. I pray that their fellow co-workers, God, who lost their lives yesterday, God, I pray that you would just strengthen them even more in this situation, God, not only to be strong for those people who lost their lives, but to be strong for the students at Apalachee High School, God, who may not return back to Apalachee High School again, God. And I just pray that you would protect them, watch over them, give them peace. God, I pray that any of those surrounding schools whose students may have been scared because they were threatened as well, I pray that you would protect every one of those schools, God, and make sure that no harm or danger gets to them. I pray that every single school in the United States would be protected from school shootings, would be covered from any bullets, God, because I don't care about what people say. People on social media commenting stuff like prayers don't block bullets. Well, God, I believe they do. I believe that prayers do block bullets. I believe that prayers do protect people. I believe that prayers have the ability to bring people out of dark times and to bring people to you, God. God, I ask that anybody who doesn't know you, who were affected by those events yesterday, God, I ask that they would make their way to you and find you. I ask that everybody who does not know the name God, who does not know the name Jesus in this tough time, I ask that they would find you and that you would welcome them with open arms like I know you will, God. God, I pray that you would, anybody, any student right now, even if they weren't even in Georgia, God, I ask that any student who heard about what happened at Apalachee High School, God, I ask that if those students were mentally affected today going back to school, God, I just pray that you would make sure that you assure them that they will be protected by the blood of Jesus. God, if we needed you at any time, God, we need you now. If we ever needed you before, we need you now, God. There is so much happening in this world, so much change. The upcoming presidential election, God, uncertainty. God, at this moment, I don't care if you're a Democrat. God, I don't care if the people who are affected are Democrats, Republicans, liberals, nationalists. I don't care what they are, God. But I ask that you would just put your whole arms, God, and wrap your arms around this country, God. Wrap your arms around the world who is suffering, who is hurting. Every international conflict which has cost people their lives, God. God, I ask that you would just put your touch on it, God. Put your unmatched favor and grace on those situations. I pray these things to the one and only, the one who saved and died for our sins, the one who has the ability to change lives and does change lives every single day, the one who can perform miracles like we need one right now, God. We need a miracle. We need a miracle. We need a miracle, God. I ask for a miracle. In Jesus' name I pray. And I ask that every believer listening to under the sound of my voice right now would say amen. I hope you guys have a great night. And I hope that this episode was able to help some people. Until next time, I'm your host, Jalen Austin Taylor, and I'm out.